And welcome to Community Conversations for Wednesday, February the 16th of 2022. I am Pastor Park Hunter. I am the pastor of Onalaska United Methodist Church and the coordinator of the Interfaith Leaders Coalition of La Crosse. We are one of the sponsors of Community Conversations along with English Lutheran, and we're so grateful to them for hosting us. Community conversations are intended to be relevant conversations about things and people going on in our community, often with a faith slant or faith angle, and we love to have community input. So for those who are joining us live on YouTube, we invite you to comment in the YouTube chat. You'll need to be logged in to Google or Gmail or YouTube in order to post comments there, and we will share those comments with our speakers later in the program. Today's program features Hope Restores, and in a few minutes we will introduce our speakers for today. But before that, I would like to invite Pastor Kent Cormack from First Congregational Church to come up and share a prayer with us today.
Thank you, Park. Living, loving God, our refuge, our strength, our hope, we give thanks in this day which you have made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Bless us as we gather in conversation today, a community of those we know and love, neighbors and friends, sisters and brothers, a community of kindred hearts, a community of those we hardly know, strangers, sojourners, forgotten friends, the ones who need an outstretched hand. A community that reflects the varied and beautiful images of you, O God, our Creator, a community in which your Spirit shines. Open us in our conversations today that your Spirit may move among us and within us, that we may learn and grow, be challenged, broken open, and changed. Renew in us your call to be messengers of steadfast hope and extravagant love. Amen.
Thank you, Kent. To introduce today's speakers, I'm going to invite Irene Ten Eyck from English Lutheran, who has worked with Hope Restores. So, Irene?
Thank you. Good afternoon. I am delighted to introduce these two amazing women who have worked so tirelessly in our community. Tashira Jackson and Shemaiah Curtis. They're the founders of Hope Restores, a local organization that works to support, to advocate for, to listen to, and to bridge the gap between African Americans in our community. They work to empower African American individuals and families through providing services and programs, but while building on the individuals and the families' strengths and resilience. So I will let them take over here and give you a little bit more of an introduction and talk to you about what they do.
Do you have yours? Mine isn't working. We'll go off that. So, we just want to say thank you for having us here with you all today. Everybody from home, hi. Thank you for buckling in with us. We are not new to the area. We've been here for a while, but something needed to be done. We wanted this community to be something more than just a place to come home to at night and go to sleep. We felt like there was a different way to do community, a way to do it with love and compassion and connection. And so, knowing that there was a lot of healing that needed to be done, that's exactly what myself and Shemaya set out to do.
Yes. I'd like to start off saying happy Black History Month, everybody. Thank you to everybody who's celebrating. It is just a great time, and La Crosse is doing a lot right now. People are pitching in on our contest that we have out there to represent Black History Month, and so I just want to say thank you and happy Black History Month. And just so you know, I am Shemaya Curtis, and this is
Tashira Jackson. So I guess we'll just kind of dive right in. There are a number of things that you yourselves can be doing. And the important thing is that the work that we do, this isn't something that is isolated to just our work. The biggest part about being in a community is that we're also a part of a community, which means that we all have a part to do. It means that we all need to come together and unite on this idea of equality and there being a better space for us. So we have designed many, many programs at Hope Restores for the African American community to be able to utilize to have a more united community experience here in La Crosse. But there's also a lot of other services that we provide. One of the services that we do is Bridging the Gap. And with Bridging the Gap, that's where we take the services that are already out here, schools that are already in place, organizations that are already here, and we teach them how to do community and relationship with one another. We have gotten so far as a people away from being connected. We have forgotten how to relate with one another. We're in grocery stores now, and we kind of put our heads down so we don't have to say hello anymore when we walk by. I think that that's more unnatural than just looking up and smiling and saying, hi, how's it going? How's your day? And so those are the things that we're getting away from. And so with the Bridging the Gap program, what we do is we have a client that might come in and need a service. We find out what that service is, and we might call over to the organization that can help with that barrier. And so it might look like, hello, La Crosse community. I am calling on behalf of Shemaya, and Shemaya needs services with this. We'd like to schedule a time for Shemaya to come over and talk to you. And when she's done meeting with you, she's going to come back over here to Hope Restores, and we're just going to chat and see how that went. This has been something that has worked out so well. It one, gives that organization an opportunity to put their best foot forward in case they haven't in the past. And then two, it's an opportunity to wrap our hands around that client that hasn't had the best luck with going out there on their own, that's been met with a lot of just negativity. And so to have that courage to give us a shot so that we can connect them and go back out there is something that we just really applaud them for. And so we come alongside of them in support, and we just make sure that we are able to start building that relationship that should have been worked on before. The only difference is that now we're building it from a place of trust. And I think trust in relationships are the ones that last the longest.
I totally agree with that one. Yeah, like Shai said, relationship building is very, very important. So that's where it starts at.
For sure. And in that same respect, we have been able to team up with churches. We've been able to team up with the county to talk about the underserved. Why are you having a difficult time reaching your Black community? Because there is a Black community here, and so now it's just about figuring out where that disconnect is and how can we work better together. And so that's another thing that the Bridging the Gap service does really well. It allows us to come into your organization, sit down and talk, and find out what those pressure points are.
Yes. So a lot of people ask us, like, how did we become Hope Restores and why we became Hope Restores, right? And how it started is that we listened to the voices of our community. We had our allies saying, like, hey, how can I help? we had our youth, our Black student leaders and other youth saying, hey, you guys need to help us. We're having a hard time getting our education. We're feeling isolated. We feel like people are listening to us, and we're dealing with point-blank racism in school every day. And then we had our Black community just saying, I don't feel like I fit in. And they were very isolated, and they didn't feel like anything belonged to them, and they had nowhere to go. And so from the voices of our community, we decided that we needed to do something. And And that's when we came up with Hope Restores. Hope Restores is a safe place that is full of love, affirmations, and community and connection. It's a place where people can come get services, but people also can come to just talk. And a lot of people who come to Hope Restores are like Putty, and they just need somebody to listen to them, somebody to hear their voices, somebody to say, hey, I care, and somebody to remind them of their strength and resilience and who they are and how far they've come. And so it has become, I say, like a big party of love. Like it's always so much love. We have little ones running through there, adults, men, women, and just people who want to connect. And the funny thing is, this question was asked to me. She's like, somebody said, you know, it's an African American Resource Center, but can anybody come there? Well, anybody comes there. We have people who just come and say, I know it's an African American Resource Center, but wow, you guys do so much and you're so welcoming, and I feel like I fit in here with you guys more than anybody else, and I feel more comfortable here, and I don't feel judged. And we're like, because we're not here to judge, and so yeah, we service. We wind up servicing everybody. We'll never turn anybody away, and so it's such a beautiful place, and it's a beautiful thing that we do. And so we have done so much in this year, well, last year, and this New Year's. It's been, what, a year so far? How long has it been so?
Yeah, well, on the 24th, Hope Restores will celebrate its first year anniversary of having the doors open, so thank you so much.
Yeah.
We are very excited about that. But we're just so intentional about how we do community. You know, when we try to do community sitting back and just being in it and existing, it didn't work. You know, and that's one of the reasons why we've reached out to the community and we've pulled the community back to us. You know, it's one of the reasons why we have a contest, three different contests going out during Black History Month. They're all fun. They're creative. We have an essay contest where students can win $500. We have a door contest where it's not just for organizations. You know, we've invited parents and families in their home to decorate a door, to decorate a wall, you know, any place you work, decorate a bulletin. We have to be strategic about how we do community if community is indeed what we want. And so we're always reaching out. We're always sending out a mega blast, amplifying, you know, we're here because we want to pull you back in, and we want to do this together. And so that's one of the main reasons that we have a door open policy. You know, it's one of the main reasons that you may have a white person and a Black person at Hope Restores, both in line for diapers. It's because it's not about exclusion. We've done enough of that. It's about unity, and it's a safe haven for Black people to come. So while we are an African American Resource Center, our doors are still open to everybody, and it is just all love. And I tell you, there are some times where we are wondering how the Given Pantry is gonna fill back up and we'll be down to our last pack of toilet paper or a few bars of soap, and we've just learned to laugh at it. We look at each other and we say, he's been making it happen so far, and sure enough, it just fills right up, you know. We will have a random donation of boxes and boxes of things that'll go right into the giving cabinet, things that we've been needing. And so we move so boldly in faith. This has definitely been a test of our faith and testimony. And
for sure. Oh my God, he delivers on time. It's just like, all of a sudden, there's a box of tissue or a paper towel that pops up, or somebody's like, oh, I brought all this stuff. And I'm like, wow, how did you know? But he already knew. He had a plan. We have to be obedient. And me and Shai have learned, right? And we had to go to each other and be like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? This was not our plan as two young girls. We were going to change our family's dynamics. We were going to get money and be successful and never have to face poverty again, right? And then all of a sudden, we are doing something that we never thought, but we feel good. I mean, it's just amazing. But we had to uplift each other through this battle. We had to be very obedient, and we had to realize that he already had the plan, and there was some power put into place, and we just had to move, right? And so we've been moving, and sometimes we drag, but we've been moving, right? And then sometimes we're like, this doesn't sound right, but every time he delivers us, and like, he has empowered us to be able to help and love and support other people. And it's been amazing. And anytime we're just like, oh my God, how are we gonna pay a bill? Something appears. I mean, it's been amazing. Like when I tell you that it's amazing, when I tell you that there's nothing but joy coming from us right now, is because we have seen his power, and we've seen what he will do. And so we're just blessed. I know I'm like all in there right now, but I cannot.
We've had
Cannot do
continuous confirmation that the work that we are doing, that it's working,
Yes.
that there's healing happening. We've had so many people come in and just needed someone to talk to, sharing with us stories of loss and tragedy, sharing with us horrific things that they never thought they'd come back, losing their grandbaby and their daughter all in one harmful, hateful swoop. I mean, and the one thing, you always hope is, I hope I never get a story that I don't have the words for. I hope I never get put in a position that I can't help them heal. And I hope I never say the wrong thing to the right person. And I've learned that there is no wrong thing to say. It's all intention. And so when I come with intention and I say, this is who I am and this is what I have, they just open up. And they're just needing someone to share with them. We have men that are having these awakening aha moments. One guy realized that he had been dating toxic people his whole life. It was always the same woman with a different face. And he said, I realized that it was something about me, that I kept picking the same person. And I think that I was afraid to date somebody that I thought was good enough for me. And so I always went for the person that I was comfortable with, because that's what I came up out of. And then we talked about that trauma, and we talked about how do you walk through that. And we talked about recognizing some of those patterns and how do we change that. And it has been so empowering. This man, he is now a single father, and he's bravely doing it on his own. He's gotten rid of the toxic part of that relationship, and he is an amazing father. I mean, he calls and says, hey, how do I cook this meal? I want to cook something hot and good for my kids. And it's so great. He called today and said, hey, what board games do I get? I want to play board games with them. I want to get them away from the TV. I mean, if that's not transformation, it is just amazing. So there is just so much healing that's going on so many levels. We have our men's group, Brothers Battling Barriers, and most of these guys have just been doing the day-to-day to get by. But through the Brothers Battling Barriers support program, they found so much purpose. They have so much to give. They're wanting to go out and mow lawns. They want to go volunteer and help people. I mean, it has really been beautiful. And now they have birthed a program, which is the Brothers Battling Barriers mentorship. Because they've gotten so much out of the program, they're ready to reach down and help younger men and pull them up and say, hey, young brother, there's a better way to do this. I understand that you're angry, but I love you. I understand that life gets frustrating, but I love you. Let's talk about that. And it has been absolutely just bone-chilling, amazing, beautiful to watch. We have parents calling to tell us, hey, my son had a perfect week. Hey, my son is so excited about getting up and taking his showers because his mentor says that personal hygiene matters, and now I don't have to fight with him about brushing his teeth and taking a shower in the morning. So, I mean, it's so beautiful. Young people need big people that they can trust. And we've been able to provide that in the most loving, organic way. They just keep coming to life. They really do.
Yeah, she's right. It is amazing. wow. I mean, our brothers are just so passionate and giving. And even though they don't have everything in place in their lives that they want, right? They are just ready to give, and they are giving so much. And I think we know that as humans is that one thing we can do when we're feeling down or we've dealt with a lot of trauma is turn that around by giving kindness to somebody else. Somehow that fills your soul, fills your body again. Go ahead. Oh, sorry. Sometimes that fills your soul and fills your body, you know, and so our brothers are just doing that. Another program we have is Women of Melanin, and it's a support group for women. We meet on Tuesdays, 6 o'clock. We have childcare and a dinner provided. It is a great time. It's women getting together and conversating and loving on each other. Last night we had our second Valentine's Day party for the women. And when I tell you, it's such an amazing time. The women get together and they love on each other. We do affirmations. We did affirmation bingo. And if you get one of the affirmations, you stand up and you read them all out in an I statement. I am wonderful. I am beautiful. I am amazing. And then we do a Valentine's Day card. And on that Valentine's Day card, the woman writes a letter to herself of things she wished somebody would have said to her on Valentine's Day. And when I tell you, those letters are so powerful. And then we take the card, we put it together, we put it in an envelope, and then we seal it up and hand it to another sister. And then a sister gets this card, and she reads it. And it was funny because we had a guest, right, yesterday who showed up. And we weren't expecting her, and she was a mother of one of the ladies in our group. And she was a white lady, too. And so, you know, at first we're like, oh, my gosh, she's joining us. Okay, great, okay. I hope she's not feeling comfortable, whatever, you know, if nobody feels uncomfortable, it was fine. She needed to be there. She needed us to pour love into her. When she read the affirmation about I am beautiful, she said, I'm beautiful. She's like, but I never felt I was. And all the sisters in the room said, what? You are beautiful. You're amazing. And they started pouring affirmations at her. And then she wound up getting her card that she had wrote for somebody else. She wound up getting it, and it was beautiful. But the message was truly for her, and it came right back to her. And I mean, we were almost in tears because, like, she was almost in tears, and we just felt the passion and that she needed to hear those words. And everybody else's cards were beautiful, and everybody left with so much love and feeling good about being a mom and feeling good about going back out into that world and trying to conquer the things they have to do. And so we just do a lot of that. Another program we have is our transportation program. We give people rides to appointments and doctor's appointments and things like that. It's been going really good. We're having people who are finally saying more like, I need help. You know, like, I need help. I didn't want to ask, but I need help. And that's because they're comfortable now. Some people weren't comfortable before. We had somebody who actually worked with us was like, you know what, I really need some more support. And I'm asking today, and I should have been asking. And it's every day people are coming through the door with that. We have a drop-in daycare center, people who need to drop their kids off where they go run errands, take care of business, go look for a house, need to go to the grocery store, therapy, anything. They can bring their kids to up to 2 hours to help restore. So we'll keep an eye on their kids while they go take care of things they need to. We have a lot of different programs put into place, and every day we are creating new programs, and we are always having community events because connection is so, so important with us.
We do so we also have a diaper drive, so we give diapers and wipes, formula to families. Sometimes that's the hardest burden, is coming up with those odds and ends. And so it's been such a blessing that most of the biggest part of our giving cabinet really focuses on like toiletries, things that you need cash to go into the store to buy. And it has really helped with spreading some of that paycheck out, you know, not so many days at the end of the month, you know. And so that's been really helpful, and it's been able to bless people in that way. One of the other programs that we do is the Financial Liberation. This is a new program that will start this week on Thursday. And the Financial Liberation course, it is all around teaching you how to have a better relationship with money. Because for some people don't have a budgeting problem. Some people just have a I don't have enough money problem, right? So you really can't budget what you don't have. But in that same note, it's really important to get very clear about the psychology of money and what are the belief systems that you have around money. So many of us have formed these ideas that, about money and hanging on to things because we had a difficult upbringing. And a lot of that trauma feeds right back into how do you relate with money, And so we talk about toxic money behaviors. We talk about the psychology around it. And then we go through and we do exercises where we give everybody an envelope, an accordion envelope, so they can put their receipts in there. And then throughout the week, they collect their receipts and they come back, and then we catalog what it was that you spent money on, and it's a way of putting it right in front of you so you can see, okay, wow, I spent that much. I didn't mean to. I didn't even think I had that much to spend, So knowledge is power, and it's teaching them how to use that knowledge so that it can most impact them in their lives. And so that's what we're all about. We're going through the credit report and teaching them how to read that big thing and the importance of credit and how that relates. I think I did not know about credit until I was probably 23 years old. There was a lot of correcting that I needed to do by that time. So all I knew is that a couple of my favorite stores gave me cards and I didn't have to give them anything in return. And so I thought we had the start of a beautiful budding relationship. Come to find out, that wasn't quite how that relationship went. And so getting people ahead of that, and I laugh and I joke about it now, but the reality of it is that my parents didn't know about credit. Their parents didn't know about credit. To say that we lived paycheck to paycheck would have been an understatement. We got a paycheck and we just kind of buckled in and tried to drag ourselves to the next paycheck is more of what that went like. And so growing up, having to live through poverty, it changed a lot of things for me and my psychology of money. When I was little and we would get gifts, whether it was birthday or Christmas gifts, and it was clothes or shoes or something that didn't quite fit, and it needed to go back to the store for a bigger size, chances are I would never see it again. That's really difficult for a child. And so I made the decision that everything fit great. I didn't care if I was a size 6 and the shoe was a size 4. That was the most comfortable size 4 I had ever put my foot in, because I learned that I would rather have something than to have nothing at all. And so when I fast forward into my adult life, I took a lot of that toxic money behavior with me. Things that I would buy that I know that I didn't necessarily need, or because I was using something else, I wouldn't return it to the store. I would just keep it. And I would say, oh, something's gonna come up that I'll use that for. And so then I end up with a bunch of random things that I'm still not using, but there has been a million different times that I definitely could have used the cash from that to offset a bill, right? Or to save it somewhere, or to make it work in some other way for me. And so it took me a while to recognize that, but those are the small things that, we realize through the financial liberation course, so.
Yes, I got some stories like that too. I'm still struggling with that returning thing. It could be the cold weather as well, so yeah. But no, she's right. Another thing we do is our diversity training, right? And so one of the reasons we are here is we're going to do our presentation about the power is yours, right? But Hope Restores fits into that because we are a center and we have taken on the mission to helping. And so by other people being involved with Hope Restores, you're helping with our mission, and you're helping with that inclusion, that fight against racism, that fight for equality for everybody. And some people don't have the time sometimes. That's one of the things we talked about in our presentation, The Power is Yours, is how do I make the time to fight against racism, right? Because all of us are very, very busy, right? Sometimes we don't have time to reach out to say hello. And it's like, but I want to do something, but I don't know what to do with the little time I have. And so what we do in our presentation is go through different ways that you can use the little time you have to fight against racism. And so I just want to dip in there a little bit to talk about that. And so another thing, just to let you guys know, our presentation was interactive with an audience, right? So, hi guys, there's not that many people here right now, but a lot of us know of things we can do, and we can kind of help you guys to think of some more ideas of things you can do to fight against racism. One of the first things being is incorporating the fight of racism into the things you are already doing in your life, right? So that means, like, if you're going into a restaurant and you see that somebody was there before you, it doesn't matter what race they are, but speak up and say something. You know, be like, hey, they were here before me, right? Going to vote is very, very important, you know? Also, the jobs you're at, you know, find out at your jobs, are they hiring people that reflect the community that you live in? And if they're not, maybe ask that question why they aren't doing it, you know, and maybe they should be doing that, right? Your leisure time and you're out and about and you're enjoying yourself with your family, look out for other people. If you see some injustice, speak up and say something. We always joke about the Karen, but Karen can be a good Karen, right? Because Karen can use her voice and her aggressiveness for good, right? So she doesn't have to be a bad Karen. Karen just needs some love. And maybe Karen has been put in a place and been kept quiet and isolated. And so when she gets a chance to speak up, she speaks against the little people. We do that sometimes, right? So be a good Karen and speak up when you see people doing something wrong against the little people. And say, you know, hey, that's not how we treat people. You can use your voice. Let me see. As a consumer, right? Support minority-owned businesses, you know? Be like, hey, I want to try this. I'll buy something new, you know? Support minority-owned businesses. And don't support the people who don't support minorities. You know, you have your money. Your money is power. So choose not to shop with the people who don't want inclusion, who don't care about others. And in your community, get out in your community, you know? Join protests, educate your kids, go to conferences, join into the Waking Up White, join into book clubs, you know? Start your own book clubs, have community conversations, visit Hope Restores, check out Enduring Families. We have Black here in the community. There are so many community programs that you can join into. There is the Hmong Center. There is the Ho Chunk Center. Like, join in. Get connected with community.
One of the things that I propose is that if you are uncomfortable, it's because you feel like it's not related to you, like you're too far away from the problem. And so one of the good reasons to get involved and tap into any type of diversity event, it's to get you closer to it. And we all know that the things that we're closer to, those are the things that we take to heart and we speak up about. And so I think that's a really great way to just organically, you know, insert this is right or this is wrong. You know, it's a great way to kind of guide people in a loving way whenever you're connected to a source.
Yes, exactly. Another thing we ask you guys to do is think about what's going on in your own home when it comes to racism, right? Think about the things that you've seen in your home growing up. And it's time to break those cycles. So we no longer allow a racist person to sit at our Thanksgiving table and make jokes, right? If they decide to come to Thanksgiving dinner, they come with respect and they respect our home and our children. They can no longer make racist jokes in front of our kids and we just excuse it, like, oh, that's old Uncle John. He sometimes says those things because your children are sitting there, and what do kids do? They suck in information, they suck in negativity, and they go and use it out on somebody else. And they may use it out on my child or somebody else's child, and they were all innocent with it because everybody else laughed or smirked about it, you know? And they've seen that, right? They've seen it. Even though somebody said, oh, just ignore it, they didn't ignore it. And then they use those words, and those words are powerful, and they cause hurt and harm in the community. And we can stop it in our home because we know that nobody is born racist, right? It's a learned behavior, and it starts in our home. So have the conversation at your home. Talk to your kids about racism. Don't be afraid of that topic because they're going to deal with it, you know? There's other things we're going to deal with and we talk about, so talk about racism. Talk about different types of people. Talk to your kids about hair and culture and life and how other people have to live. Talk to your kids and let them know the things that you know and things you don't know. Go on YouTube, go get a book, go educate yourself and involve yourself in community events that you can educate you and your kids. We all want the best for our kids, and we want our kids to be great human beings, right? But it starts at home, and it starts with going over topics that they're going to face daily. Model the behavior you want your children to see. If you want your kids to be kids who love others, you have to do that at home. And so I tell you, just model that. You have to watch what you've seen in your own life. You have to check yourself. You have to go and be like, man, did I realize that some of the things I was doing were racist or harmful to others, right? And it's going to be an awakening to yourself, and you're going to be like, wow, I didn't realize that I've been doing this so long. I didn't think it would bother anybody. And it's like checking yourself. But then once you do that, you're going to be able to model an awesome person to your children.
And to challenge yourself, if you're in a situation, I gave the example earlier about walking by somebody in the grocery store and you start to get that tense feeling, ask yourself why you feel that way. Where's that emotion coming from? Oftentimes, it's just because you haven't been exposed enough or you haven't been practicing enough. Start practicing talking to, people that don't look like you. Start practicing being aware and noticing things, because we're aware all the time. We are always aware of where we are in our surroundings. And one of the reasons that, we're always aware, it's a survival tactic for us, and so try challenging yourself to see and notice those same surroundings. And if you see somebody that you haven't spoken to, maybe at an event, I had someone ask me, and they meant it in the most loving way, and she said, how do I meet Black people? Which it seems funny, but I think it was a sincere question, She said, I would love to, start having relations and welcome them. She goes, I don't know where to meet them. They're not in my yoga class. And I said, they probably aren't. So you need to go to where they are. And so one of the things that I recommended is, when you're out and about, who do you see in your church? Who do you see in these bigger settings? Just walk up and say hi. Have you ever gone to the park and seen a group of people kind of standing around? Start practicing saying hi, And I think naturally things kind of fall into place. So practice speaking up to people.
Right. Starts with a hello. And one of our last things is just get involved as a family. Get out there. Your kids aren't too young to learn how to love. And the word is love, right? It's all stems from love. It's not that you are doing something different or odd or extra. It's just you're doing what you're supposed to do, is learning to love others, right? So teach your children how to love. And so get out there and get involved.
And we have to stop judging. We have to stop judging one another, because we are all coming from different walks of life, and which means that we've all built up some type of belief system about our views on the world, about our views on other people, about who they are. We just got to stop judging, and we have to have the courage to step into a situation or step into a new environment completely open, with a learner's mindset on, and compassion in our hearts, and ready to learn about another person, because we never know what that person has been marinating in. Have they been in an environment where it's been love and encouragement, or have they been in an environment where they've been marinating in family dinners, that there is a lot of microaggressions being said? Have they been marinating in a different toxic behavior or neighborhood that they haven't had the chance, to properly find out what is and is not okay to say? And so when we meet people with love, with intention, that's usually the very best way to go.
Right. So as you are trying to figure out what other people are marinating in, make sure you figure out what you're marinating in, and then you can start changing. So action, right? What are people doing to fight racism other than sitting in presentations, right? Because there's so much more. And silence is acceptance, right? So it was no point of taking the time, reading a book, going to all these presentations, heading up events and conferences, and then there's no action from it, right? So think about it. What can you do to take action against racism? Intention is nothing without action.
What have you done? What are some things that you're working on? It can be something as small as reaching out to Hope Restores and asking how you can get involved. We say, come as you are. You have gifts that I may not have and that Shemaiah may not have, but together we can get it done, right? And so as we come together in our different weaknesses, we start to form a bigger strength. We know that things are being seen on TV. Change that narrative. I can't tell you how many times I've met people that have an idea about the Black community based off the narrative that they've seen on TV. And so to have to combat that, it is incredibly hard to combat social media, the news, and it's only being shown the clips that, are hot button topics. What are you hearing? What are the conversations that you're allowing yourselves to be heard? One of the best ways to ensure success is to get in an environment that you are going to thrive in. And it's very difficult to thrive in an environment where you're hearing microaggressions, And I think about this is a hammer. I'm swinging a hammer. Construction. Excuse me. I think about the construction industry. I've had so many conversations about the types of jokes and things that are said in the construction industry, and they just let it go. Well, maybe it's time to stop letting things go and to speak up. What are situations that you've witnessed? Have you gone to a restaurant and someone else was helped before you? It's not your fault and you don't work there, but you certainly do have the power to say, I'm sorry, excuse me, I think they were here before me. And in doing that, that's you standing up and you're saying, I won't stand idly by while someone else is continuing to be ignored. We've got plenty of data, so we know what's going on. We know what's up against. We have data on injustice. We have data on inequality, health, healthcare for Black people. We know that there's a lot of things, just reading the numbers, where equality is not there and it's not adding up. We know that you have different privileges that I might have. We know that you worry about something completely differently than I might worry about. When I am not feeling well and I need to go to the hospital, that is the most terrifying thing in the world to me. For one, it's terrifying because my mother is one that believed that if you cut into something, it'll spread like cancer. And so you never cut in. And so that was part of her belief system that she kind of passed down to me. But then what I started to realize is that it has nothing, even before I get cut into, there are tests and things that I'm not properly being screened for. I'm being given blood pressure medication at the age of 24. My blood pressure is completely fine. I mean, it just the inconsistencies. And so I recognize that there is a huge disservice in the medical care that I receive, the health care that I receive. Homicide, there's data on that. There's data on the difference in the education that we've received. And so all the information is there. We all know it. We've all heard it. We've had some time to think about it. 400 years and counting, right? And so now it just comes down to, what's it going to take for you to act? Because I can tell you right now, while we appreciate you listening to another diversity conversation, I appreciate you wanting to do the right things. I even appreciate how emotional it can be. But I want to be clear when I say that we don't want your tears. What we want is for you to join with us and take action. What we want is for you to get out of your comfort zone and start to challenge some of those things. The N word is never okay to be said. And I know that there's controversy around that. Well, what if it's in a song? Well, this person said that I can say it. It's not okay to say it. But most of all, we want you guys to know that you are approved. You're approved to speak up. You're approved to go out and make change. And the power is yours. So you don't need another course to stand up and start doing the right thing. You are completely enough on your own. The power is yours.
And the power is yours.
Amen. May I come up and join you and pose some questions from our
Yes.
online
Yes,
folks?
yes.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful presentation. And I know it wasn't quite the format you expected. You guys rolled with it, so well done. Speaking of action and intention, one of our online folks, Jennifer, asked, so for folks that would like to volunteer or who would like to make donations of goods or financial donations to Hope Restores, how do they go about doing that?
The best way is going to be to reach out to Hope Restores. So, was it Jennifer?
Yeah.
Jennifer, you can reach out by phone call, 608-881-6418. Otherwise, send us an email. It's hoperestoreswi@gmail.com. And that's the best way to get connected, and we can give you all the other information you need from there.
All right, thanks. And I know you guys have a very good website as well that
Yes.
lists your programs, and that also has your contact information. So,
Absolutely.
and I believe we posted that in the link online. If you do have questions today, please share them online. One of the questions that I had, and I thought your talk about the psychology of money was very interesting, and we all, not just money, we all have psychologies. We're born, raised, we live into things, and they shape us. And you talked about toxic environments as well. So what are, like, if we look around the La Crosse community, are there toxic environments that are shaping people now? Are there good environments that we need to work on trying to get people involved in?
Well, unfortunately, for some of our youth, our education system is still considered a toxic environment for them. Our curriculum has not changed in forever, but we have changed as people completely, right? So by the curriculum not being updated, that is causing a toxic environment to learn in. So
Okay.
yeah, education has to
Okay.
change a lot.
I think more than anything in the La Crosse area, there's more toxic people. So that's the biggest opportunity. And what I mean is the person that you have at the front desk that's in charge of greeting, the person that you have that's the gatekeeper. So when she comes into contact with someone, from the Black community and they're not treated well, it just continues to promote, this notion of microaggressions going unchecked and there's no accountability. So it's more so toxic people versus toxic environments.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we sometimes joke about Wisconsin nice, and how, people in Wisconsin, we want to be nice, but that often leads to us not speaking up when we probably should.
Right.
And one of the things that's been helpful for me with the Waking Up White and other collaboratives is coming to realize that, we can't expect people of color to solve problems, because it's not your problems. It's white people's problems in most
Right.
cases. And white people need to step up, speak up, and say something. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
let's see here. I'd like to hear a little bit more about some of the mentoring things that you guys are doing with your programs.
Sure. We have, I'll start with our core programs, the two support groups, the Brothers Battle and Barriers, and then the Women of Melanin. Now, those are two support groups, but because such deep connections have grown out of that, they've kind of turned into a mentoring for them own within themselves. But then the mentor program that we have is the Brothers Battle and Barriers mentorship for youth. And so that's been just a really beautiful program that they've been able to spend time with younger people and give them the attention that they need.
Yeah, so they meet every Tuesday at 4 o'clock. They have a group setting. It's for boys between the age of 8 to 17. They do a journal when they come in, and then they do affirmations, and then they do a time of sharing. The time of sharing can be each boy share what's going on with their week. It could be the mentors sharing something from their past. And then they break up into two groups, the younger group and the older group, and they do some activities and some more sharing and little exercises. And then they have a dinner together where they all sit down, and at that dinner they talk during the dinner time, and then they do an affirmation and closing. And then they also go on field trips, which the boys really like. They went to go see the Harlem Globetrotters. They have been to the movies. They've been sledding. They've done a lot of different activities. And then they go to the warming center, and they feed the community there. And the boys were very hesitant the first time that they went. But when they got in there and they seen people who needed them and wanted to connect with them, and they were so friendly. My son goes and he said, "Man, Mom, there are some really friendly, kind people there. They were so nice, and every time I gave somebody a piece of pizza, they told me thank you, and thank you for doing this, and you didn't have to do this." And he's like, "Man, I felt so good." And he's like, "There's this one lady who did yell at us about pizza, and she said that that she can eat a whole pizza by herself, so next time make sure you guys bring more pizza." He's like, "So," and then he's like, "Well, Mom, but Gene said, okay, we're gonna get more pizza next time, you know?" And he's like, "But Gene didn't get mad. He just said, we'll get more pizza." I was like, "Well, I guess she was hungry." And he's like, "Yeah, that's what Gene said. She was really hungry, you know?" And so my son was just so fulfilled, and it wasn't all about him. And then he came home and thanked me, right? And I don't know, but I think he just realized, like, you know, I may have a good mom and I may have a good life, you know, and so let me just thank her for this, right? And so they love going to the warming center, and they really just love connecting with these male mentors who are the cool guys, who are the guys that can get their attention, who are the guys they want to grow up to be, right? So when it comes to, like, taking care of their hygiene, they see Gene standing there all clean, you know, clothes are nice, smelling good, and they want to be like him. And so Gene takes them to Walmart and shows them, like, this is what I use to brush my teeth. This is what I use to take a shower. This is how I smell good, you know. This is what you use to make yourself look good. And then what do they want to do? Everybody wants to look good now and smell good, right?
Right.
I had a hard time getting the kid in the shower before, so now it's like I want to be like Gene and I want to be fresh and smelling good. So our program is doing really good. There's a huge need for the boys in the community, especially the African American boys, and it has been going really great.
Good. Glad to hear that. Maureen asks, what are the public health issues in the community that you're most concerned about? For instance, access to doctors, healthy apartments, drinking water, or ...
I would say finding an agreeable physician. There's still a lot of distrust between the relationships between, you know, physician and client, and that's really the biggest thing. You know, it's so hard for us to find someone that we can tell them what's going on, that actually listens, and then we can move from there. There's a lot of things that they just give kind of blanket decisions to. A lot of times we hear people are being spoken over, interrupted while they're trying to talk about their health concerns, their health scares,
Right.
you know. And so that's the biggest thing. It's the quality of care that's being received.
Okay, thank you. Mary asks if you could talk briefly about your Friday coffee hours.
Sure. So we do Coffee with Hope Restores twice a month. On the in-person Coffee with Hope Restores is the first Friday of the month at 8:30, and it's right at the center at 231 Copeland Ave at the big brown house at the bottom of the viaduct. And then the third Friday of the month, we do a virtual Coffee with Hope Restores, and that is also at 8:30. And if you are interested in joining us for virtual Coffee with Hope Restores, we would just ask that you email us so we have your email. Let us know that Coffee with Hope Restores is what you'd like to participate in, and we'll get you an invitation out.
Okay, thank you. We are coming close to the end of our time. One of the things that you said that really struck me is that what we're close to is what our heart is involved in. And coming from a Christian perspective, Jesus talks about where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And I think one of the things that sets you apart from, say, a food pantry or a daycare center is that you're really invested, and that you're inviting others to be invested as well, to be part of the story. And the more we do that, I think the closer we come together. So
Right.
Absolutely.
kudos
Thank you.
very much. We've got a couple minutes left. Last words, last thoughts?
Take the first step and reach out and give us a call. I think that very first step is probably the most intimidating step, but I can assure you we are some of the most loving people. We're very fun. I'm hilarious. I'm super funny. And yeah, we just like meeting people. So give us a call, and let us know you'd like to stop in or you'd like to get involved. There's so many things that we're doing. There are so many different programs. Yeah, and I think the best way to really find out what's going on up to date is to join us for coffee or to just stop in and come and visit us.
Right, and we are really huge when it comes to affirmation and praises and uplifting our other community organizations, because we know the fight that we're doing, it can be really hard on ourselves, right? So when you join a coffee, we start by just saying thank you, and we give a lot of positive words of love to different organizations that join us and different people. In order for us to fight this fight against racism, we have to be whole within ourselves as well. And so we constantly are sending out love and connection to everybody. Please, like Shai said, I am hilarious, right? I am so funny. I'm really the funny one out of us, and we have a great time. So come and join us. Also, that challenge that's out for Black History Month, join that challenge, La Crosse. I was just in Florida, and there was billboards everywhere about Black History Month. Every business I went into, there was something Black History Month. La Crosse, we can do better. Join the challenge. Start teaching your kids about racism right in your home. Put up a bulletin board for Black History Month. Put up a poster in your house, your business, your church, your organization, the job you work at. Say, hey, what are we doing for Black History Month? And then everybody should start thinking about that and do something. So again, we thank you guys for coming here, hearing us out. We expect to hear from everybody. We're looking for action. Come email us, come stop in. Yeah.
And just as a last note, I know someone had asked, how do they donate? So you can donate directly to Hope Restores. Depending on your situation or your age, we do have a program that is Seeds of Legacy. And with that, the donation would come directly from your retirement account. And so it's tax exempt. And so that's one thing that some of our more mature our more mature family members and friends, allies, that's the route that they're going. And so it's a double blessing in that way.
Right. People who are blessed with a lifetime of resources and want to put their treasure where their heart is.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yes.
Thank
Well,
you.
let's give a round of applause to our guests.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
And just briefly before we shut off for the day, our March program is What is in Your Water? And we will be hosting Dan Bauman from the Department of Natural Resources Eau Claire office, overseeing this West Central region as we talk about water quality issues in our area, which is a topic that we're seeing in the news. So again, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you in a month.
Thank you, guys.